Your dog eats a little grass on the walk, has soft stool on Tuesday, skips breakfast once in a while. You shrug it off. Your vet does a quick check and says everything looks fine, so you move on. But here's what nobody tells you: those aren't random quirks. They're a pattern. And that pattern is your dog's gut sending you a signal over and over, hoping you'll finally stop dismissing it as just one of those things. You've been reading the signs wrong. This video is going to show you exactly what you missed. If you watched our video on why dogs eat grass, you already know this is a topic that hits a nerve. Thousands of you left comments saying the same thing, that you always assumed it was normal, maybe even harmless, just something dogs do. And in a lot of ways, that makes complete sense. Because when the symptoms are mild, when they come and go, when your dog still seems happy and energetic, it is incredibly easy to convince yourself nothing's wrong. The problem is that a sensitive stomach doesn't usually announce itself with a dramatic emergency. It doesn't show up as a crisis. It shows up as a Tuesday. A skipped meal here, a loose stool there, a dog who seems just slightly off in ways you cannot quite name. And because none of it feels urgent, most owners never connect the dots. They manage each symptom individually instead of stepping back and seeing the full picture. That's exactly what this video is going to help you do. We're going to walk through the real signs of a sensitive stomach, the ones that fly under the radar, explain what's actually happening in your dog's gut when you see them, and reframe what you've been calling normal into something you can actually act on. Because your dog cannot tell you something feels wrong, but their body is absolutely trying to. Let us start with the sign that probably brought you here in the first place. Grass eating. You've seen it 100 times. Your dog sniffs around, starts chomping on a patch of grass, and you either laugh it off or feel mildly annoyed. Most people have heard the old explanation: dogs eat grass when they feel sick. They are trying to make themselves vomit. And while that can sometimes be true, it is only part of the story. The more important question isn't why your dog ate grass once. It's why your dog eats grass regularly. Because occasional, repeated grass eating is one of the most overlooked early signals of an irritated digestive system. When a dog's stomach is uncomfortable, not severely upset, just chronically low-grade uncomfortable, they instinctively seek out plant fiber. It's a gut-driven behavior. Their body is trying to move something through, soothe something, or trigger relief from pressure and nausea. They cannot escape any other way. If your dog goes for the grass at roughly the same time of day, especially in the morning before eating, that pattern matters. It often points to bile buildup, stomach acid accumulating overnight on an empty stomach. That's not random. That's information. And it is information most owners wave away without a second thought. Now let us talk about the stool situation, because this is where things get genuinely useful, and most people get it wrong. There's a widespread assumption that a dog's stool only matters when it is diarrhea, like full, unmistakable, this is a problem diarrhea. But the truth is the range between perfect and diarrhea is where sensitive stomachs live. Soft stool, not liquid, not alarming, just consistently softer than it should be, is one of the clearest signals that something in your dog's digestive process isn't working right. Maybe it happens a few times a week. Maybe it is just the first stool of the morning that's soft and the rest are firmer. Maybe it changes based on what they ate the day before. That variability is the point. A digestive system that's functioning well produces consistent output. When the consistency keeps changing, even subtly, that's the gut telling you it is working too hard or not working efficiently enough. Soft stool that shows up after certain foods and disappears when you switch back is almost textbook food sensitivity. Your dog's gut is reacting. It's inflamed, it is moving food through too quickly, and it is not absorbing properly. That's not something to manage with a different brand of treat. That's something to understand. Short start here's a sign that almost nobody connects to the stomach, and it is probably the one you've overlooked the most. Grass eating, soft stool, skipped meals, those feel digestive. But what about the dog who eats everything too fast? The one who inhales their food like they haven't eaten in a week? Most people blame personality or excitement, but chronic fast eating in a dog who also shows other mild digestive symptoms is often a sign of gut discomfort driving urgency. When the gut is irritated and inflamed, hunger signals get distorted. The dog feels intense hunger because their body isn't absorbing nutrients efficiently. So they eat fast, they eat desperately, and then their already compromised stomach has to deal with a massive, rushed food load on top of everything. Else, that creates a cycle. The gut cannot keep up, food doesn't get digested properly, symptoms continue, hunger signals stay distorted, and the dog eats fast again tomorrow. If your dog is a speed eater with occasional soft stool and some grass nibbling, you are not looking at 3 unrelated quirks. You're looking at one pattern with 3 different faces. Short end, let us talk about appetite changes, because this one is genuinely misread all the time. Skipping a meal once in a while. Owners typically frame this as picky eating, or they say their dog just wasn't that hungry, or they blame a hot day. But a dog with a sensitive stomach skips meals for a very specific reason. Eating hurts. Or more precisely, eating causes discomfort shortly after, bloating, cramping, that low-grade nausea that comes from a gut that cannot handle what's coming in. So the dog hesitates. They sniff the bowl, walk away, come back, maybe eat half. Over time, some dogs start associating the bowl itself with discomfort and become genuinely reluctant around mealtimes. This is one of the cruelest parts of an unrecognized, sensitive stomach. The dog gets labeled as difficult or dramatic when they are actually just trying to avoid feeling bad. And the response from most owners, understandably, is to try different foods, more exciting foods, richer foods, which often makes a sensitive gut significantly worse. If your dog is inconsistent around meals and shows even 1 or 2 other signs from this list, appetite reluctance isn't a personality trait. It's a symptom. Now here's where we need to talk about something that sounds almost too subtle to matter. Borborygmi. You probably know it as stomach gurgling. That sound your dog's belly makes that's loud enough for you to hear across the room, especially at night or early in the morning. Occasional stomach sounds are completely normal. Digestion is noisy. But when you notice your dog's stomach gurgling loudly on a regular basis, especially when they haven't eaten recently, that's not just digestion being digestion. Loud, frequent gurgling on an empty stomach is often the sound of excessive gas moving through an irritated gut. It means fermentation is happening where it shouldn't be. Food isn't being broken down properly higher up in the digestive tract. So it is arriving in the lower gut partially undigested and causing a reaction. Your dog may seem totally fine during this. They might be lying there calmly while their stomach sounds like a storm drain. But what's happening internally is the gut working overtime to deal with something it cannot fully process. Frequent, loud borborygmi combined with soft stool and occasional grass eating forms a cluster of symptoms that clearly points toward a chronically sensitive digestive system. Let us add one more layer here: excessive gas. Not the occasional dog fart that everyone jokes about. We're talking about a dog who is consistently, noticeably gassy to a degree that's become a regular part of life in your home. Gas is produced when bacteria in the gut ferment undigested material. A healthy gut breaks food down efficiently enough that excessive fermentation doesn't happen. When the gut is sensitive, when it cannot fully digest certain proteins or carbohydrates, those partially broken down pieces feed bacterial fermentation in the colon, and you get gas. A lot of it, on a predictable schedule. If you've just accepted that your dog is gassy, and that's that, I want you to sit with the question of why. Why is their gut producing that much gas consistently? Because a sensitive stomach that goes unrecognized doesn't usually get better on its own. It tends to become more reactive over time as the gut lining stays chronically inflamed, and its ability to handle certain foods gradually decreases. So let us connect all of this together, because the point of this video was never just to list symptoms. The point was to show you how they form a constellation, and how that constellation has probably been sitting right in front of you for months or even longer. Grass eating in the morning. soft stool a couple of times a week, occasional meal skipping, loud stomach gurgling, chronic gas, fast eating. Each one on its own, easy to dismiss, easy to explain away, easy to forget about by the next day. But all of them together. That's a dog whose gut is under consistent stress. That's a dog who's been communicating something to you in the only language available to them, through behavior and biology, and who's been waiting for you to listen. Here's what you can actually do with this information. Start by tracking. Seriously. Just a few days of writing down what your dog eats when symptoms appear, and what the stool looks like will reveal patterns you've completely stopped noticing because they've become background noise. You might find that soft stool consistently appears the day after a specific treat. You might notice that grass eating only happens on days with a longer gap between dinner and breakfast. Those connections become the foundation of everything you do next. Whether that's adjusting feeding schedules, transitioning to a more digestible food, reducing dietary fat, or having a much more specific, symptom-informed conversation with your vet. A vet who hears, "My dog sometimes has soft stool and eats grass," is going to tell you it is probably fine. A vet who hears, "My dog has soft stool 3 times a week that worsens after high-fat treats, eats grass most mornings before breakfast, and has been skipping meals roughly twice a week for the last 2 months," is going to take that seriously. You deserve that conversation. More importantly, your dog deserves it. The goal here isn't to make you anxious every time your dog eats a blade of grass. It's to shift your baseline, to move the threshold for what you pay attention to down a notch, because your dog's gut health affects everything. It affects energy, mood, coat quality, immune function, and long-term organ health. A sensitive stomach that gets recognized early and supported properly can be managed really well. One that gets ignored for years tends to compound into something harder to address. You now know the difference between a random bad day and a pattern. Trust that knowledge. If this video gave you that moment of recognition, that quiet realization that some of these symptoms sound very familiar, do not just let that feeling pass. Go back through the last few weeks in your memory. Or better yet, start a simple note on your phone right now. Write down what you've been noticing, because awareness is only the first step. The second step is doing something with it. Share this video with someone whose dog might be showing these signs without them realizing it. And if you want to understand more about how your dog's gut actually works and why certain foods cause more problems than others, our next video goes deep on exactly that. We'll see you there. Thanks for watching. If you loved this video, scan the QR code on the screen right now to subscribe and join the Pawsome Life family. Give your dog a belly rub for us, and we will see you in the next video.